I didn't turn it on.
Okay, we are recording, and we're gonna start the Town of Sangerville Select Board meeting Wednesday, September 21st, 2022. It's 4 o'clock. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Item 2, approval of the minutes, Select Board meeting 9/7/2022.
Make a motion to approve those minutes.
Second. All in favor? All three in favor. Review treasurer's warrants, payroll 7881, accounts payable 77, 79, and 80.
Make a motion to approve A and B is read.
Second?
All in favor? All three of us. Open session, but we don't have any guests that would be utilizing that 2-minute period. Old business, anything?
No, I put it really under the town manager's
That's okay.
report, so we'll
Which-
go from there.
We're gonna go right to Josh from Halen. How are you, Josh? We're gonna discuss, I guess, or the beginning discussions of what Josh thinks we need to do in light of the changing real estate values.
As you know, sales are getting pretty high. This is your latest one that the states are gonna use for your next year's ratio. As you can see, the percentages are getting down there.
So this number that you've written here, 115%, 42%, what does that mean?
That means we're assessing that at 115%.
This
This
is
one's
ha-
at 42%. This one's a tree growth, so it really wouldn't
Okay.
count in the sales. But, this sale is 194,000, we're assessing it at 75, so that comes out at 42%.
Right, we assessed 42% of its actual value,
Oh, okay.
or of its sale value.
Of the sale value. I mean, every town's been going down, it's a market, everybody knows that property right now is selling for a lot of money. 2019 was able to certify at 100%.
Do you have Sangerville?
What's that?
That's Abbott.
Oh.
That's, I grabbed the wrong one, sorry.
We're about the same.
It's about the same.
Yeah, I'm sure the trend is, I just was looking for properties.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I just looked one up
I
today,
apologize.
selling for $289 and it's on the books for $101.
Yeah.
And it's gonna go into
It's
sell.
under contract right now.
In
3 days.
Sangerville.
I
Yep,
mean, it
3
does
days.
list some on the back.
So,
So-
going, going
good.
back to the percentage, it's a sale unusable?
Some of them are unusable, tree grow sales are
Oh,
unusable, stuff
oh,
like that, if it's
oh,
a
oh.
family transaction, so it'd be arm length transactions what they're looking for. Like I said, in 2018, you guys are at 102%, they let you certify 10% over that. So really, you could have certified at 112%, we certified at 100, because you're not gonna get any more than
Right.
100%. 2019 was 92, 2021 was 88%, and 2022 is at 85%. So as you can see, it's gonna keep going down, and them sales are usually 2 years old. The state, when they does your state valuation, is 2 years old. This year, we're probably gonna look at close to 80% at least, probably closer to 75. So what does that mean? They let you certify at 10% over. This year, the highest we could have certified was 94%. We shot for 100. I doubt they're gonna give it to us. They're starting to penalize every town.
What's the penalty?
You're gonna lose 6% of your reimbursements.
What's our reimbursement?
Ooh.
Your homestead, your veterans, your tree growth, any reimbursement.
What's that,
you get
any
from
idea
the
what
state.
that total number is?
Yeah, do we know?
And I'm just trying to take that total
6%,
number, compare that to the cost of a
I have
revale.
no idea what the total number is.
It's all right,
Probably
Probably go.
we'll get it. We don't need it
Yeah.
today, but we do need it.
I think that's a good number
Yeah,
to,
that's,
I
Be on
think,
the-
just to know what's on the hook.
Right.
Right, I think your homestead check was close to 100,000, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So you would have lost
There you go.
6 grand.
6%.
Yeah.
grand.
6 grand on that one.
But, you know, if it gets below that, if it gets to 80%, you guys are gonna lose 20% of that. So it's gonna get bigger and bigger each year. And this is how the state is saying,
Now, if, you know, they're just raised rates, they're gonna raise rates again and again and again, if real estate slows, and across the country, it is slowing. Now, doesn't look like it is here too much, at least anecdotally, but if that were to happen, there's a 2-year lag before that slowing is gonna show up, is that fair to say?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I feel anyway, it might slow down, but the values hardly ever go down.
that's yeah,
They
you
trend,
plateau, yeah,
Plateau.
yeah.
So, no
Yeah, I
matter what
see
you
what-
do, you're gonna have to bring up values or take that on the chin. Next year, we're gonna have to consider, if we don't do something, cutting everybody's homestead exemptions. That way you don't lose the exemption back
Correct.
from the state. So instead of giving them 25, you take 10% off that, and that's what they're gonna get.
We can do that?
Yeah,
Didn't know that.
yeah,
And it still doesn't really cost them any more, because we'd just be losing it on the revenue end from the state.
Their taxes are gonna go up if you cut their homestead exemption, you know. The only bad part is that affects everybody that lives in Sangerville. 'Cause the
Doesn't
people
affect
that don't-
everybody, so,
Right,
alright.
the people that don't live there don't get the homestead exemption.
Yeah, or people who are renting, or,
Right.
yeah.
So, I mean, there's a few options, you guys, I mean, I tell you, when you do a full reevaluation, $75 a parcel, that's gonna be like $98,000 to do a full reval.
So when you,
No.
Yeah.
so when you
It's over.
say that though, is that a nuts and bolts, you guys step on every single parcel, you go through every building, you look at everything, plain and simple?
Yeah, remeasure everything,
Oh, boy.
right from
Let's
that,
start.
What's our total valuation now?
the percentage.
What are we right now, what's that number?
2022, it was 85%.
22 million?
No,
Oh,
12,
the town's valuation,
It's on that,
it's
but,
on that paper.
That's, yeah,
it's on your sheet.
oh, what is
state
it?
got 93, right?
So,
20.
Yeah, so
2022,
2021
oh, 21.
was
Oh.
87,900 was the valuation of the town, and now the state feels that in 2023, the town's gonna be worth 108 million.
Okay.
Oh, wait, sorry, I'm sorry, would you mind saying that again? Just because I didn't hear you, I was.
Yep. Right here, 2021, this is what the
Okay.
state valuation, that's what the state said your town is worth,
Okay.
87,900.
Okay.
87,900,000.
Got it.
2023, so you can see it jumped up a lot, it's 108
Eight.
million.
They're projecting out to 108,
Yep,
okay. And you're saying, I'm just gonna round it, it's gonna be nearly 100 grand to do a reval.
to do a complete reval. I don't really think you guys need to do a complete reval. I mean, you've got pretty good measurements on your property record card, you've got.
Well, one of the
permanent
things,
areas.
one of the reasons I would be motivated to even consider it is I believe there's a lot of unknown properties. And if you do a deep dive, like Dale said, if your feet are on the ground at you might find a 10% increase just in real estate that we don't know about.
Yep. Yeah, if you think there's that much that's not getting picked up.
so how does that, so let's just say, I mean, I'm not that person, but let's just say we do a reval, you come knock on my door and I say, sorry Josh, you're not coming in, you get off my property.
All we can do legally is estimate it.
So what do? Do you go estimate to the high or to the low?
I usually estimate to the high, and then we have hearings at the end where people can come in and talk to us.
Well, that's kinda what I wanted to hear.
Yeah, if that guy that kicked me off comes to the hearing, now he's got a second chance to let me in. If he doesn't.
Correct. Cause if you keep him low, you're never gonna know.
Right.
But if you nail him for everything you can, keep it to the highest
Yeah,
you
you can
can.
assume marble and oak and
Right.
everything.
Sure, then it's up to them to come back in and get your taxes lowered.
Exactly.
And those
So-
I'm sorry, those hearings are with you?
Yeah,
Correct.
they would, with me, usually try to have it at the town hall, which I don't know if you're gonna be able to, but usually try to have them,
Public.
in the town, so they ain't chasing me at my office, and I haven't got a really big office either, so.
Right.
you know,
We'll figure out something.
Well, we can do it
Figure out
right,
something to
again,
do.
that could be done at the fire station.
Yeah, usually what I try to plan is 3 or 4 days, like 15 minutes apart, have the whole crew come in. That way I don't get everybody in at once. And then we can personalize their visit with their property.
And at that point, as far as your charges, just sort of nailing all these little details down, is that part of the 75 per parcel?
Yeah,
Okay.
Yep.
So that's not
What,
That's-
above and beyond.
how often does that happen? that, what Dale just described, where the person says, no, you're not coming.
To be honest with you, the last reval we did, probably 10% of them.
Really?
Wow.
Didn't let
I
me
bet it'd
on
be
the
high.
property,
Cause people don't understand what's gonna,
and the property, another 40% wouldn't let me in the house.
So then when they come to the meeting and realize what's really gonna happen, do they invite you back?
Sometimes.
Yeah, okay.
Sometimes, a lot of times they just come in hot and heavy and start screaming and hollering and don't wanna listen, they just wanna.
They just want what they want.
Right.
Yeah. Huh.
You know, most of the time, they're worried about the tax bill and that's it. They don't
Sure.
care about the valuation, they don't care about the mill rate. My taxes went up a couple $100.
well, I don't, and cause I mean, I've kinda, now that I'm down around the pond, I've kinda mentioned this, cause I listened to a lot of people from a lot of different areas about the town.
But-
And I've kinda mentioned that, you know, this is probably coming. And everybody gets all excited when you first say it, but I'm kind of like what he was saying, I mean, I think there's a lot of things that maybe not on, a lot of improvements been done with a lot of property.
sure.
And by the time this is done, our overall might be a bigger number, but the reality is what should happen is, that's just gonna drive our mill rate lower.
Yeah.
So, even though it might look on paper, oh my god, this number's a lot bigger, your taxes shouldn't really be going up any.
Right.
It should all, if you're being taxed properly now, in the end, it should correlate, be about the same,
Other than the $100,000.
100%.
Right,
Yep.
right. We've done 32 revals, and normally what happens, a third goes up and a third goes down. You know,
Yep.
third stay about the same. You can just expect that, you know?
But it would seem like with this event that's going on with housing, that ratio might be, higher than the amount that goes up.
Well, the trouble is, like he's saying, a third of the town probably has done interior, fixes and stuff that hasn't been picked up, so them ones are gonna go up no matter what. The houses that are, gone downhill since they were valued last, are probably gonna be the ones that decrease.
But real
even-
estate's gone up in general though.
Right, that's
But
what,
everybody's value is gonna go up to hit that real estate market.
Oh, okay.
right, but I mean, I spend too much time in our tax cards, cause I always.
He's an expert.
I do, I spend a lot of time, because to me, this is real numbers, I mean, you watch that market of what's selling, to what we're taxing people, cause, as long as we've been doing this, I still listen to certain people every year bitching, cause their taxes are going up. When we all know, it's been quite a while since anybody's taxes
Right.
gone up.
Right.
So, but I mean, so I watch this all the time, and even a lot of our houses that, that aren't as in good a condition, I guess I would say, and, our tax valuation really is probably closer, in my brain, to a real number of their worth, but even those houses, when you look at them right now, I mean, it's not the 3 times like others are, but even those houses are bringing, those houses are turning into $100,000 houses now.
Yep.
Whereas 5 years ago, they'd have been $40,000 or $50,000
Right.
houses.
Yeah, you can't, it's hard to find a house for less than 100,000 right now for sale.
Yeah,
And when you do, it's a fixer-upper.
yep,
Yeah, and some of them, we have, there was that little rectangular one down there, it's
Yeah.
a square.
Yeah, it's 92.
I think we have it assessed at like 60 something.
Yeah.
I mean, that's nothing glamorous, but I mean, it's off by,
the one across from the post office
60%.
is sold
Yeah.
for pretty good money compared to what we assessed it for.
Yeah, I mean, my old house there, apartment, I bought for 89, 3 years later, when the market hit, I sold it for 130.
And you
It's-
probably sold it too cheap.
well, the one that's under contract that you were just talking about, it's under contract for 280, you said?
289,
And what do we have it assessed at?
101.
I mean,
It's gonna be everywhere, it's not just saying about every town getting hit.
So, and I know this is gonna come up, and so this is my bigger question. Where does bank appraisal value, because I know this is gonna be a question, and so I'll use my camp as a prime example. So my camp was listed, when we bought it it was listed for 100. And then once the bank appraisal come out, they said, oh no, it's only worth 95. So, I mean, yes,
We're never gonna be close to bank appraisals.
so we're not even, so when people come in, what do you do when people come in and you assess my property at 150 and I got a bank appraisal, it's only worth 110?
I try to look at that bank appraisal and see if there's something there that we're missing. If not, I won't change it.
You won't? Well,
No,
no, won't.
no. A bank appraisal, if you look at the appraisal, is for that purpose only. The only way that legally a town can take an appraisal is if the appraiser does it for tax purposes only. It's a whole different appraisal, just like if you get insurance appraisal. That same house you're talking about, probably insurance appraisal, 220,000.
Right.
They're always 100,000, you know,
Sure,
50 to
sure.
100,000 higher.
Yep.
So every appraisal has its purpose. That appraisal, bank appraisal or market appraisal is only for 6 months and that's it.
Oh.
Some of them are 3 months.
Yeah, and they're the other end of the transaction. The bank is loaning you money, whereas the insurance company is gonna rebuild it, and they wanna charge you more
Right,
for your
right,
insurance, so.
And they
They have
build
different
that,
There are two
motivations,
ends,
yeah.
opposite ends.
and usually they build that 10% into the appraisal, cause the bank don't wanna finance 100% of
Oh, sure.
the house
Okay.
value. So usually that's built into the appraisal also. So you gotta look at each appraisal and for what it's worth. You know, just like I said, insurance appraisals, if we assessed by them, your town would be worth a lot more, but, you know, they're for different purposes.
That makes sense.
Correct.
And this whole new law with the seniors, the over 65 getting this freeze on the tax, how does that come into play with all of this?
Nothing.
Nothing.
The house is gonna be valued the same, we're still gonna tax them like we're going to. The state is gonna supposedly pick up the difference in the tax.
But would that also be subject to this decrease if we aren't up to, in other words, have they added another bucket of money that they're
Right,
gonna
that's
be able to
my
lever
question.
us with?
I don't think so at this point, cause it's not an exemption and it's not really paid back to the town, it's paying taxes of the people. Now, so that
With the
doesn't,
homestead exemption, they're treating that way. and-
Correct, the
that's an-
homestead exemption comes from taxes.
The
My
home-
understanding is this thing, they've already assigned a bucket of money.
Well,
into it.
they have enough money to start it.
Yeah.
I
That's
don't
what I
think they
mean.
have enough money to continue. it.
100%.
It's gonna come from taxpayers.
Correct, but they haven't, this is different, this time they've actually said, this is what we're gonna put in it. It's not like homestead exemption where this is what you always get. So who knows what's gonna
At this point
happen?
in time, they're gonna reimburse the town's full taxes lost.
That's crazy.
It's not called an
Oh, really?
exemption because like a homestead exemption legally, there's a law out there, they only have to give back the town 50% of taxes lost. That's why the exemption part was taken out of this law. And when this law first come about, they were going to, the state was gonna attach that money to the estate. So in other words, if you sold the house or you gifted the house, the person that got the gift would have to pay the back taxes. That didn't pass. They took that portion out, it passed, it may come back in later.
And it may all go away,
It may all go away.
because they're gonna have to
I
fund
know.
this, and depending on who your governor is.
Yeah,
Um,
I see more bad about this than good.
Oh, there's all kinds of bad about it.
I've been to many classes about it. The state doesn't even know how they're gonna handle it yet. They really don't.
Crazy.
Well, I can see,
Well, you get people that make the laws that don't know
Right,
assessing.
right.
you know?
correct,
And,
and there's no cause and effect, they're
yeah,
not
they're
thinking
not
about.
held accountable, I mean,
Yeah,
Other than
unless
voting
unless we
for 'em.
vote them out.
how
Yeah,
many applications we got just in Sangerville, you know, that's one
A lot?
town.
we got an old
Because we've got an
town.
old, elderly town.
Right? I mean, that's just one town, when you start every town in Maine, they're gonna have to pay back a lot of money.
Well, I'm thinking the 2% discount is really a way to game this thing, because the person whose taxes are frozen, they're at that number, they're not ever going up.
Right.
As long as we increase the taxes by $1, they're not gonna get the 2% discount, we're gonna get it from the state.
Right?
I mean, it's a scam, but,
The other part that the collectors, when we went to the collectors meeting about it, that they were having an issue with, if you pay your portion and the state says, the heck with it, I'm not gonna pay that portion, the
Oh.
lien goes back onto the property, so even though he paid his portion, that he had the chance of losing his place.
Correct?
And-
if the state doesn't do their job, you're right.
Yeah.
The town has to go back and collect that
Right.
retroactively.
Right.
Yeah.
And there's
So,
no
yeah, but I
opting
mean-
out of this.
But nobody that's
There's no
applied for
opting
that will
out.
ever get their
A
2%
town can't
because
say, we don't
the
wanna do
state
that.
won't pay their portion in time.
Unfortunately not.
That's
State
true,
law.
that's right, you're right,
So that's the other thing, and I don't know if everybody understands that, but
that's right.
what you think you saved, I don't know, they're not gonna save it. Cause they're never
The
gonna,
state's not gonna.
they're not gonna pay it in time for that citizen to get 2%.
That's what I'm saying. Well, the citizen's gonna pay what they paid last year. okay? And if what they paid last year is, if the taxes don't go up or they go down a little, then there is no because that number, again, would get you the 2%. But if taxes go up even $1, that means they didn't pay it in full to get
Right.
the 2%. So we're gonna go to the state for the dollar plus the 2%. And that's gonna happen forever.
Well, they're not,
In
wouldn't,
fact, we could go to 5.
One of the assessors asked the state guy.
no, wouldn't the citizen would have to pay the 2%?
No, his taxes are frozen.
His taxes are frozen before the 2%. They're not gonna be
His
frozen.
taxes are frozen based on
What
this
he paid.
year. He
Correct.
applies this year, this is where it stays forever.
100%,
Okay,
but it's at his full taxed amount, not because he got a 2% discount.
well, this year, my house is a perfect example. We paid the full amount to get the 2%. My wife is 65 years old, our taxes are gonna be identical next year. We're not gonna pay anymore, but the taxes could be higher. And if they're higher, we're gonna pay what we paid this year. We're not gonna get the 2%, the state is gonna have to give it to the town.
That's what I'm saying, the 2% isn't gonna be in effect.
It's gonna be a huge effect for the state, it's gonna cost the state a lot of money. And we could go to 3.
I'm confused to why you think it's the state paying it, not the citizen, but
Well, because I'm not gonna pay more.
you're not gonna, correct, but you got the 2% last year.
If my taxes go up, I won't get it next year because I won't hit that number that you need to
The
hit.
taxes that are frozen are not counting that 2%.
Yes, they are.
Okay, Dale, if $1,000 this year
No, what-
gets me the 2% discount.
Correct.
Okay, but next year you needed to pay $1,020 to get the 2% discount. I'm not paying the $1,020, I'm paying 1,000, I'm locked in at 1,000.
Right.
So I don't get the 2%, and I didn't pay the 20, so the state is on the hook for the 20 and the 2%. And it's gonna and we could make it 5.
And when I was at one of the meetings, assessor asked the state guy, he said, okay, I got a guy that lives in his camper, taxed at $500, you know, his tax bill's $200. Next year, if he builds $1 million home, his tax bill stays at what the camper was.
So there's no mechanism for an increase in
Yeah.
assessed value. You go
Right.
from a trailer to a $500,000 home, we still can't look at it.
Right.
Correct.
And the state's gonna pay?
Yeah.
And not only that,
See, they have not thought this.
That,
No.
no,
but not only that, if, take that same scenario, let's say you had 30 of those that are doing that, they're sitting on no tax bill, now I'm in this wicked nice house.
Yeah.
And then it comes time for a town meeting, and most towns, I mean, we probably have the higher turnout of any town around here at 50. So those 30 people show up, they don't care what you're spending because their
No.
taxes are
No, that's
never gonna
my,
go
that's my
up.
big concern.
yeah.
So go ahead, buy a new
Buy
this,
one.
go buy
Yeah,
that.
a new
Fence, fence,
fire
fence.
truck, yeah,
Yeah.
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 So,
I just don't,
getting all the way back to the reevaluation of the town, the whole town, that's exactly what my question was. Do the people that are now locked in, people over 65 with that?
He just said yes.
They
Yeah,
keep
yeah.
that,
Yep.
they keep that tax bill. If their tax bill goes up, the state pays for it.
Now, I don't believe this is gonna stay.
I don't either.
This is like revenue sharing on steroids.
Well, the other part of it is you have to apply every year. So if
That's the other-
something changes in the law, you just don't apply that year and you're out.
You're out.
Right, or if you forget, you're out. But you just reset,
Yeah.
but,
But I believe that if anything happens, it's probably gonna be attached to your estate and whoever gets the estate, you know, if you sell or if you pass away, they're gonna be responsible for the back
For
tax.
all the back taxes? How?
well, there shouldn't be any back taxes,
No.
because the state's paid them.
Paid them.
Well, whatever the state paid, they're putting like a little lien on your property. That's how this started. This first, you know, this started 2 years ago and it was denied because of that portion.
But
So-
But a
you
lot
said
of
that went
laws-
away.
But they're
Yeah.
trying to put it back in.
But I don't know if they're trying yet, but that would be
Oh,
something
Oh,
that the
that would
state
be-
has done in the past.
See, another, you and I talked about, let's say this thing goes for 10 years, and you've been locked in at your $1,000, and then you get a
Ba-boom.
different administration, they
Yeah.
say, this is crazy, we're not doing it anymore.
You
And you get a tax bill, it's
Yeah,
100%
they're
increase.
done.
I can't afford to live here
right,
anymore,
right,
you know,
right,
that kind of
right.
thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it subsidizes people
Yes.
that may not be able to.
That would've
afford it.
sold.
That's right.
It was meant to help out the elderly people, but I think that a lot of people that could afford it are taking advantage of it, really.
Well, and again, if you fit the criteria, why, you know.
They didn't put it in, they should have had a needs,
Income,
Yeah,
But
and
they
income.
They should have had an age and income when you was eligible for an
Right.
exemption.
Right.
Actually, they shouldn't have done it at all, that's the problem.
Well,
When the assessors tried to lobby it, they went down with the motion that if you're over 65, you get a $50,000 homestead exemption instead of 25, that would have been.
Wasn't
way
there already
cheaper.
something for older people anyway?
The town has to adopt it, and I'm not sure exactly how that works, but the town can adopt something, but in the end, everybody else in town has to make up the difference.
Sure.
It's still free money, it's not
There's
free
never
money.
any free money.
No, everybody thinks there's all kinds of it, that's the problem.
Well, there has been for a couple of years, but.
And then collecting that money from the state is going to be a challenge.
I don't see how it's gonna, the first year might go good, and even the state guys are like, the first year's gonna be a learning curve, because they're gonna go through all your exemptions, make sure they're 65.
Right.
How do we know, really? I mean, the clerks and the managers know, because they talk to them, or they have a driver's license, they can tell. But that's a lot of research that nobody's getting paid to do. And what happens if the state says, I'm not gonna pay this guy's taxes?
Yeah,
And you have to go back and,
Right?
it's a lot of work.
It's gonna be a lot of work that people don't realize, and just keeping track of it,
Right,
I'm building
right.
something in my system so I can put that amount in, send the rest of the amount to the state. But,
Oh, so we're gonna bifurcate the bill, the landowner is gonna get what he actually owes, and the balance is gonna go to the state.
Right.
You won't even see a full bill, or
Right.
will you at least see what it would have been?
you would see what it would have been.
Okay,
I'm not sure exactly what Trio's gonna do, they're still up in the arms, we've talked about it a couple times, but.
what a mess.
So how many do you think we have? Do we have 20, 30?
yeah, applications thus far.
Close to 100.
What?
Well, I would have guessed,
More than 50.
yeah,
I haven't counted.
I'm gonna guess you're
Yeah,
gonna
we're
have several.
sending them, we're sending them once a week.
Yeah.
What's the
And usually
population?
4 or 5 at a time.
Really?
Yeah,
1,500 here?
yeah, something like that, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm sure half of them are 65 years old.
Oh, yeah, oh, yeah.
Yeah, you do what, 14, almost 14, 20 tax bills, so
Okay.
1,420 roughly.
Well, if I just go down the French's Mills Road,
Right.
virtually every
Same
single
here.
house is gonna be locked in,
Exactly.
or
Yeah.
2/3 of them.
Yeah. Couple more years.
Like where I live, Kingsbury, the mill rate's 4, but when the windmills go, it's probably gonna jump to 20, so if I lock it in now,
Oh, my gosh, that's
you
right.
know,
Yeah, that's true.
That's right.
I
That's
can't,
true.
'cause I'm 65, but if a person could,
Yeah.
they'd have it made, they'd keep that tax bill forever.
Well, until, we'll see. Like I said, I think it's gonna run the course of revenue
No,
sharing.
no.
I don't think it's gonna.
It's gonna cost everybody a lot of money,
Yep.
programming on a program cost me a lot of money already just to
Oh, yeah.
fix this for
Getting up to
for
speed
these
with it.
people,
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and they, I don't know, I don't know how they expect the town to keep track if it isn't in a program like that, cause then you just gotta keep track of the last tax bill that the application was sent on. So if you get 1 year, then you need to turn around and keep track of the new tax bill.
Wow.
Cause you cannot apply 1 year, then apply again the next year and get it back. But
Right, you
that's
lose
your new
it.
starting point.
Right,
Right.
yeah, so you could get a big jump.
Yeah, you oops,
The other-
you oops 1 year and get a 20% increase.
Yeah, you
The
could.
other question we had is, okay, say your tax bill goes down, is that your new starting point? And the state guy thought yes.
I would
That's
say
the
yes.
way I
Because
read it.
what happens is the bill's gonna be less,
Right, so,
and I'm gonna use that when I reapply next year.
right,
Yeah, it makes total sense. Cause it's never gonna get, I don't see how, if I go from 1,000 to 9, I pay the 9, and when I reapply, I base it on 9.
Right.
Yeah, but you're not really reapplying.
You have to, every
Every
year.
year.
I understand that, but if you stay in the program, you stay at this number. So
You don't have to though.
I'm just saying, if you did,
stay at that number unless it goes down.
Down.
correct.
So say his tax bill is 1,000, next year it's 800, that's the starting point for the year after, is 800.
When I apply, I'm gonna use 8, I'm not gonna use 1,000.
Right?
It's
There's
gonna be a
nothing good
mess.
about this program.
Nothing, nothing.
Hopefully this gets fixed this fall.
Especially for us.
Yeah, it may get fixed in November.
That's what I'm
It may
saying.
never
Well,
actually
and also,
happen.
yeah,
Because
just
this could crumble
floating the town
before.
As far as the money that you're waiting for the state from, I mean, any money that you expect to get from the state, it takes forever and ever. I mean, the hospitals, everything. I mean,
I just hope they can pay it before the lien process starts.
Good luck.
I hadn't even thought
Good luck.
about that. If it's just hanging there, we still have to do that process.
Right.
And so the homeowner's gonna get a letter that we're about to put a lien on your property, and they say to you, but the state's supposed to pay. Yeah, I know, but they haven't. And that's gonna be a nightmare.
Oh my gosh.
There it is. It's gonna keep, it's gonna keep the
November.
collectors a lot busier.
All right, so back to whether we need, we've had a lot to think about here as far as whether we're gonna
Josh
spend
did
this 100
mention
grand.
something other than just a full evaluation.
Well, that's where I was going too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, I built a program with the new Main State Manual. Right now, you're working off the old Main State Manual still. So I can take your information, don't go out and measure and list everybody, put it and it's still gonna be a process, cause we're still gonna have to do land sales and change land values and stuff like that, but the building information will get dumped over. You're looking at like $25 a parcel,
30 grand.
right around, yep.
So how would that work? So if we did that, for instance, so you don't have to remeasure, you come to my house and you look, see, yep, garage still there, this is still there, you're all set.
Yep,
What if you go to Mike's house and he's got a new garage that's not there, or, and I'm
Then I
just
get-
picking on you, I know
then
you're.
I pick it up just like I would.
But that's what I'm saying, you wouldn't necessarily have to you wouldn't remeasure the house or the existing, just
Right.
whatever doesn't, in your mind while you're there,
Yeah.
that matches, this is an add-on.
And that would require a little bit of more work with you guys too, because if you're looking through the property records, you see somebody that, and you should do this every year, you see somebody that has rebuilt something or redone it, let me know. And I got no problem going out and getting it,
No, I-
but we're not gonna, but take the time to knock on everybody's doors and measure and list is a lot of time, and it would cost a lot more money to do that every year.
The whole permitting process, we're really loosey-goosey in terms of, if you build a garage, there's no real penalty for not getting a permit.
Right.
How do we compare to other communities that you work
About the
with?
same.
Okay,
Until you get into a town like Bangor, Portland, these guys, the assessors there don't even go out and look at buildings. Because they have the building permit, and then they have a guy go out and look at it and make sure it's being built to the permit. And then they have an occupancy permit. So in the end, they go out and make sure that nobody's added extra bathrooms and, all that. So the process is a lot different. But as far as other towns, I mean, I don't hardly get building permits at all. And I try to stress on them, permits.
in Litchfield, if you did, even if you just built a shed, if you didn't get a permit, there was a fine, it was like $75. It was enough so that you would get the permit, because you didn't wanna pay $75.
Sure.
And the reason that they did it, now I understand, cause now we get a record of that building, and they can hand it over to you.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if we would be smart to work on something like it, just enough of a pinch so they bother to come in, and if they don't,
Right.
they're gonna pay $50.
Right.
Yeah. A lot of towns are starting to do the permits for practically free, $25. But then after the fact permit, they tack on another $100.
That's what they were
That's
doing, that's what
what-
Litchfield was doing.
Yeah.
If you went in, it was almost nothing, but
Right.
if you didn't go in, it would pinch you.
They ding you,
Yeah,
yeah.
And then you'll
I like
start
that.
seeing.
I think the town would support that, we'd do it through an ordinance.
That would keep better track of what people are building.
Yeah, then
Right.
you're gonna get documentation
Yeah.
constantly,
Right.
I like that.
And especially if you guys know of any buildings that are not being taxed. I've said it before, right? Make me a list every year, I'll go look at them, I ain't got a problem.
If I were in your shoes, I'd just be doing Google Earth
Yeah.
every day.
We do a lot.
I mean, it's amazing what you can see now.
Oh, it's crazy.
We do a lot of Google Earth.
It's like, oh, that's a metal roof, out in the middle of nowhere.
I just hired an old surveyor and he has some pretty good Google apps too that I wasn't even aware of, so
Whoa,
we're able to do that a lot better now, yeah.
use drones and everything else, right?
I always thought of trying to get a drone, but I've talked to a couple people like Old Town, they started doing it by the drone until they flew over the town manager's house and saw the wife out there sunbathing,
Oh.
and all of a sudden that
whoops.
become illegal. Cause all them pictures get brought automatically back to the computer system, next thing you know,
It's
everybody's.
not illegal unless you sat there and hovered for a while, but if you fly over.
Well,
it,
even Google Earth has her on
Correct.
there too, so.
Yep,
Well, you need a special permit to fly with so low to a house. You can't just legally, nobody ever.
You can't peek
enforces
in
it.
people's windows with
no,
your
you're
drone.
not, that's what I
I
mean, you
think it's
can,
within, I don't know, 40 feet or something like that high. Nobody ever enforces it, but in an instance like that, they probably would. No, I've definitely thought about
Yeah.
using drones, like especially camps out in the woods.
Sure.
Gates are locked.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
'Cause sometimes.
You get a feel for it.
Yeah, but even
Oh
now,
boy, you got $5,000 worth of deck.
Right.
well, I mean, you can take now a drone, you can get some pretty good flight time out of that, so I mean, you can anywhere, you know,
Actually, that Oxhunt app is getting, so you can measure buildings with it and decks, and it's pretty close.
Huh.
We've done both, measure them from that, and then walk down in and measure it, and it's really close.
Wow.
Yep.
Huh.
And it isn't real expensive. You'd be surprised. A lot of towns, you know, southern towns, it works really great. The northern towns that still haven't come up to date. You know, Google Earth, you know, it's really good, but sometimes they're 2 years old maps.
Yeah, no, the last time I looked, I was out there on a tractor I don't own anymore.
well, the last time I looked, the only shot that was still left was if you're coming off Dowdy Hill, right at the end of the bridge. That last screenshot had Snooky sitting in the chair in front of his
Aw.
trailer. And I mean, he's been passed
Gone,
away now
yeah.
for
Yeah,
quite a few
A long
years, so.
time.
The other
yeah.
trouble that other assessors have gotten in from assessing like by Google is once you meet with the owner, have you ever been to my camp in the woods?
Oh.
No, not really. I took a picture from Google,
Oh,
did the measurement tool, and then when you go to county commissioners, they'll lose every time. If you haven't seen it in person.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
So that technology is not accepted yet.
Right.
But the only good part is you can use Google or a drone or your app or whatever to
Right.
say, huh, what is that metal?
Well, this is
building?
worth going to look
I need to go look out
Look
there.
at it.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of those
Yeah.
type things. It just gives you another tool to try to find something that you would never have known was there.
Right,
If they have no trespassing up, you're not allowed to trespass?
no.
Interesting.
We usually, do until we're told to leave.
Mm.
That's what I've talked to a few cops, because every once in a while you get pulled over out assessing, in about every town I have so far. But, and they'll say, you know, you can enter the property until you get told not to.
No trespassing's really a pretty please, not a.
Right, if you're directed to leave, then you
Right.
have to leave.
Right.
But other than that, it's kind of a suggestion.
Right. But if, you know, somebody legally says, get off my property, and you don't, then you're in the wrong. So we, you know, assess it what we think it is, and usually they ask us to come back when it's really high.
Well, I mean, I would think if you go with that, nail them for everything you can approach.
Yeah.
When I get the bill, it's like, what the heck is that? I would,
invite you back.
yeah, maybe you ought to come out.
Yeah.
I mean,
And even if you don't, then great.
yeah,
During the full revow, we usually go out, knock on the door, if nobody's home, we leave a door tag with a number on it, so that gives them a chance to call and have us come back. And then we have hearings, we send out what we call mock tax bills, this is the estimated value, what we think the mill rate will be. Set up hearings for them to actually come in and talk to us. So they've had, you know, 2 or 3 chances right there to talk to the assessors. But there's always people that won't do any of them and then complain when they get their tax bill.
people are gonna complain anyway.
And the trouble with the reval is usually the selectmen get knocks on their door, telephone calls, you know.
Well,
not
that's why,
fair.
honestly, I've been open about it all summer, anybody I talk to. That mentions taxes or whatever, I've told many people this is coming. Didn't tell them it was coming this year, but it's definitely, you just can't
Yeah,
see the trend going and nothing
it's
happening.
going bad, you know, the property is just selling for a lot of money.
I think we need to know that number, the amount of money that's at risk in the bucket. Because that's really, it gets pretty straightforward. If our homestead exemption is X and we're gonna lose 6% of it,
Right.
you can pay for this thing in 2 years.
Right. And whatever else is in that bucket, and you also said if it gets worse, it gets worse. So
Yeah.
if you could break that out a little more for us, so we could see that.
Yeah, we'll have to get together and get some
Okay.
numbers from you of what they pay you, cause I don't see what your veteran exemption check is, or your,
Oh, okay.
I mean, they'll go so far as cut your Betty check, your homestead check.
Right.
Tree
Oh, so
growth reimbursements, all them checks.
So we need to know how big that bucket is.
It's getting bigger all the time.
Yeah, it wouldn't take long to pay for 30 grand.
You know,
I
you're
think
probably, just guessing, I don't know, you're probably talking 150,000 when you add all them up,
Oh, easy.
easy. So, you know, 10% of that, let's say, next year, I bet you're looking at least 10% reduction.
So you have.
Yeah. No,
Which
it can't
could-
be ignored.
Which you could save a little bit, cause you can reduce, your homestead exemptions by that 10%, your veteran exemptions by that 10%, so you really wouldn't be money being lost, it is and it isn't.
Except those people are gonna feel that.
You're gonna pass
an
it back
increase
to
in their
them.
taxes.
Right.
And when you start reducing exemptions, they only gotta pay 50% back. So now they're paying 50% back on 22,000
Right.
instead of 25. So in the end, you're losing, no matter which way you go.
Either we are or the citizens are, either way you look at it.
And really, you're supposed to cut tree growth rates by that 10% also. We've gotten away with not doing it in other towns, but it's coming, cause the state's gonna want that money. You can't blame them, that's what you're supposed to do. But then you start cutting tree growth rates that are already reduced to begin with. Now, instead of $100 per softwood an acre, they're getting 90. You know, it's a trickle effect.
Yeah.
Every little bit that you don't get back from the state, people in town are making up in the mill rate, because the mill rate increases.
Sure.
Yeah, and every little bit that's sent to you from the state is coming from your income taxes that you pay the state. And if they just stayed out of it, you pay your taxes on your property and that would be it.
Yeah.
But it's just,
And, like I said, every town is gonna need it, so every town's gonna be busy.
the full one, obviously, that's time consuming for you.
Yeah,
If,
that's a year project.
Oh.
We could get it done in a year if we knew,
but you're gonna be doing several towns.
yes,
Are you already locked into a few towns doing a reval
yeah,
for next year?
Total
Yeah.
reevaluation?
yes,
Wow.
yeah. I've hired more people, you know, I did 4 revals last year, looking at 2 already this year. We did 3 the year before that, so.
So, but I mean, that must be kinda your number, 3 or 4. I mean, you can't do
What's your
10 in a
capacity?
year.
Right, it all depends on the size of the town too, I mean,
Right.
Bangor will be a big town, you know, if I could lock you guys in soon, I could get it done for next year, but if not, it might be a 2-year project.
Here's the other, if we did
Well, that's
this-
what I wanna know too, that's why,
if we did the lesser one, how long before we're gonna have to either redo that, or is that, in other words, are we just half-stepping the inevitable of a full revow?
The full reval is always better, don't get me wrong. The hat, what I'm talking about would work as long as, cause we're on the same book, whether I do the reval or the half one, we're pricing it with the same manual, same main state manual. It's just the property that you think is built out there that we haven't got.
You're not gonna catch it, as you're not
You
likely to
still
catch it.
don't have it.
Yeah.
We could still catch it if we, like I said, all work together, let me know, if you know somebody's gonna camp out there. I'll
so
go.
that's why, so that's kinda why I asked you. If we did the $25 one, you're gonna dump everything over with all of our measurements and you're gonna have that.
Yeah,
But you're not still gonna go to every house?
No,
I'm
you're
not still,
not.
no.
No,
But
alright.
are you gonna do your third, you had meant, you know, in years
No,
past,
single.
you say you do a third each year, so every 3 years.
Yeah, I
you
mean, we're
pretty-
still gonna go out there and
Do
do
your,
the regular assessing, but as far as knocking on doors, getting inside, you know,
Yeah.
and making sure every measurement's correct, no, no.
I was gonna say, example for 2021 was 102 for homestead.
And then you got.
That's just homestead.
And yeah. And like Beta was only 4,000. Veteran was only 989,
So we're a little over 100 grand.
yeah.
Then
So-
That's
how much
10
was your
grand.
tree growth?
Tree growth was 21, 241.
130-ish?
You're getting there. What else is in this bucket?
yeah, the veterans, you said veterans, tree growth,
Like I said, if you get close to 150,000, you drop 10%, you're losing 15,000 then,
A year.
yeah.
Next year,
And
could be
then,
20.
and then it just goes down, I don't see it coming back up, so, you know, in another year, it's probably gonna be 15%, now you're losing 20. You know, that's a trend, like I was trying to say before, you know, you went from 102 in 18 to 85 in 22. And I expect 23 is probably gonna be closer to 75, to be honest. They let you certify at 10 minutes and over, so you can be able to certify at like 83, you know, 85. So you're still losing 15%. So we're either gonna have to do something or drop homestead exemptions, or the town can just take that on the chin and say, I'm
I mean,
gonna.
you just raise your mill rate and cover it,
Right.
that's all, it's just,
Well, that's what you're gonna have to do. I mean,
yeah, I mean, you're just shuffling your own money around,
The
but,
only trouble, we just did one in Moscow, there was that 50%, they kept saying, I'm not doing it to this day. Well, when people get the tax bill, now we brought them up to 100%, then we were about strung up in town. You know, it had nothing to do with us really, but
Right.
we brought their value that was at 50,000 up to 100, 120,000 all in 1 year. And by doing it like this, before it gets to that low point, you're not bringing them up so much at least.
50%.
Yeah. Well, you know, good thing about them is they had the dam that paid a lot of the taxes. So that's why they said, you know, whatever, don't pay us their exemptions, we don't care.
Right,
They still had a decent mill rate.
alright.
And I keep using Kingsbury for example, because now everybody's going to green power, they've already exempted solar, when they exempt windmills, you know, they're gonna lose $80 million worth of valuation.
Wow. Now,
That's
just you mentioned solar panels. Let's say there's a camp and now it's got a whole array of solar panels. Is that an added value? Is that something that gets reported to you, or is that something that's not?
Nobody will report it to me, but it is an added value, but it's not as much as you think.
Okay.
You know, like
Okay.
the solar system I got at my house cost about 21,000, but in actuality, it's only valued at like 5 because there's so much maintenance to them. They're only a 20-year life if you're lucky. The batteries are a 10-year life, so it gets depreciated down every year. You know, so it seems like you're saving a lot of money by not paying that power bill, but
You're paying the power bill.
yeah.
But we're all paying
No,
that
no, no.
problem.
What I was asking is about taxation.
Yeah, he's saying that.
But it
Yeah,
has, there's
even
no real
that.
value in it.
Yeah. You know,
And now they're all tax exempt, anything, you know, below 5. So any household one, you know, most of your solar farms are all tax exempt. They,
I didn't know
they
that.
build them below, you know, they build them at like 4.8 megawatts, you know,
For
just
that
under
reason.
that 5.
Oh,
That's why they're not investing in the windmills anymore, because they are tax exempt, why would you? It's a
right.
$287 million project we assessed the windmills for, that's quite a tax bill. If they can put that money into solar and be all tax exempt, even if it's 5 different ones, you know, call them 5 different projects, they'd be all tax exempt.
And we're all paying for every kilowatt.
Yeah, and the people make up for
It's
it.
more
Yeah.
free money.
So we haven't put
Yeah,
a
more
whole
free
lot
money.
of value on
It's perfect.
solar,
Okay.
just for the fact that they can be tax exempt and the town doesn't get reimbursed anyway.
Okay.
Alright,
Right.
I guess
Wow.
we got some decisions to make.
Yeah,
A lot of,
got a lot to think about, but, just wanted to let you know at least, so you had an idea.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
thank you very much.
No problem. If you got any more questions, let me know.
Okay,
Okay,
thanks for coming.
Thank you,
See
Josh.
y'all.
okay, bye.
Have a good day.
Josh.
Good night.
Good night.
I think we're gonna have to do something. I mean, this is coming.
Right.
Yeah, we can, we're not a town that can afford to let this go to 50%.
No, we don't have a dam. We have a dam, but it needs some work.
Yeah.
It's not 50% of our tax base.
No. Alright, item 7, town office move.
Yeah, just a reminder, town office is gonna be closed all next week from September 26th to the 30th for the move down to 93 Main Street.
Everything look good?
Everything's going as planned.
Good. Okay. And I mean, regarding that move, we've all been talking a little bit about maybe our meetings and the planning board meetings. We're gonna go check the fire department versus doing those meetings down there. So right now, I guess that's a little bit in limbo, but we're gonna make a decision before our next meeting. But they may be at the fire station in the back portion where.
Yes, in the back door, not the
Yeah,
front door.
yep, exactly. And this is actually the last public meeting in this building, I think.
It is.
Yeah, so kind of sad. But maybe not.
Historic.
Historic, that's what it is. Road commissioners report.
Okay, Silver's Mills, they should be done by mid-October. I did take a ride. It's actually looking good. And they're taking care of the culverts, keeping them smooth so that there's not so many bumps right now.
Good.
So they're looking good. I did, and I, asked for a quote. I sent it out to a few people for, Silver's Mills, just to get the first coat down the binder for 360, let's say 3,650 feet. And I've gotten one back so far.
And that would be done after the mid-October
Yes,
completion?
and they know that it would be mid-October before we could do it. So,
Have you heard back from Rowdies?
I have not, and I've emailed them again, because I also have an issue with trying to take care of, East Sangerville.
Right.
And it's
Yeah.
on their list, Lisa told me, and they will get over there, so I'll give
Okay.
them to the end of the week, if not,
But at least she's kinda taking ownership.
She has.
Okay.
And when you say to get over there, meaning fix it, or get over there and take a look at it?
To take a look at it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I still would, I mean, I think if you could get a different paver
To
to go out,
evaluate
and
it?
just go out and evaluate it for us.
Okay.
Yeah,
That way
Gary
they're-
would go look at that, I bet.
Yeah, I
And they're
can,
not-
yeah, I can have, I mean, especially when they're gonna be coming out.
But I think that way there, we would have another professional that knows more about paving, that's, doesn't have a nickel in it, that might say
Is what-
his views.
Yeah, or at least how he would fix it.
Yeah, or what happened,
Yeah.
and then that may help us when we're dealing with them, that's all.
Okay.
Which brings us to the French's Mills, right?
French's Mills, and that's gonna be done in October as well. They're gonna, Hopkins is coming out, and they're gonna do, what is it called, crack sealing, and then they're also gonna do some, repairing of the road.
Patching.
Patching.
Yes. And I talked to him.
Yeah.
I called him. He seemed really professional and, they pull out when Dale and I were concerned, because where your two lanes meet.
Yeah.
You've got a lot of cracking in
Oh.
pavement, and if you just reach down there with a trowel, you can pull those chunks out. That's what they're gonna do. They're gonna
Oh,
pull
okay.
everything that's loose
Clean
out
the
where they
cavity.
can.
Clean the
Exactly.
cavity. Okay.
And then fill and pack, and they will clean up their mess. We had a problem over there years ago where all that asphalt got tossed on people's lawns, and he said, no, they'll.
Oh, good,
So,
good.
it's a lot of money, but
Yeah.
hopefully we can stretch a couple more years out of that
Couple more
road.
years out of it, yes.
Cause that road's falling apart.
Right, you can't let it go.
You're not far from grinding and
No,
starting.
you're not far from exactly saying, okay,
But I
grind
think,
it up, do it again.
I mean, that road was done before all of us were involved, and I'm pretty sure that road was done with minimal amount of paving, not the thicknesses we've been laying down.
they
so-
did, reclaim in front of my house. though.
Yeah,
So it should be starting to add up, I would hope, but I don't think they put much down. But anyway, I think what was the quote to do that?
It's 33,000 for the crack sealant, and it's $600 for each ton.
Okay,
When
and did he have any idea how many tons it might take?
No, I don't think it's actually gonna take that much.
Yeah,
No, so,
so between that and the, binder, how are we looking on our budget?
oh, we're under.
Way under.
We're way under.
Yeah, because we had money to finish that road, and we're not gonna be able to do that.
No.
Okay,
No,
okay.
so we'll be way under.
So is there anything else that we wanna get done?
I don't know if we got anything else ready.
We talked about in town,
But you can't, because we would've had to notify them for their budget because of the manholes.
I mean, we haven't done anything as far as culverts or crosswalk, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I
that's
thought-
okay,
I thought about the if there's any culverts when you sent that out as far as the
Yeah.
manholes.
oh, I didn't see that, oh, okay,
What
I
about,
guess I missed that.
what about gravel roads?
I mean, we could do some gravel work.
I think-
I don't see why we couldn't at least start
If-
take some of that money and.
If we've
work
got
on-
some, yeah, if we've got,
Thomas needs a bunch of gravel, right?
Yes, it does.
Anderson needs a few more loads, cause they fixed that this spring, but it was, when they did it, they said, oh, we need to come
I
back with
would,
more gravel.
I would ask Chris and Warren if they were
Okay.
gonna prioritize gravel roads, cause they plow them, they're on them. Because we got some money, we might as well
Yeah,
get
we
it,
can at least.
cause
get
people
some of
complain about the gravel roads all the time, I don't blame them.
Yeah. And there are some that, I mean, I took some rides out this spring that were,
Sure.
yeah.
Okay, so let's
Okay.
it's still a reasonable use of that,
Yeah.
those funds.
Yeah.
We also have we're moving, but the next thing is the next phase. I mean, we gotta start thinking about what we're gonna present as far as options and, you know, and our town meeting is gonna happen quicker than we know. And I don't know, do we wanna start working on something for a presentation for that meeting? Or do we not even start that conversation until after that meeting? That, I'm not
Well,
asking for an answer right now, I'm just, we gotta start wondering that.
I think we should start.
I think we
I-
should at least have something with better, deeper explanation about the building and why we moved out and the conditions truly in. And if it doesn't go much further than that, then great, but
To me, that'd be the minimum.
that 100%.
We could even go as far as, here are some alternatives that we're looking at and thinking about, and we probably ought to get, assess the value of this building, to see if we could sell it. Or if there's any interest, or at least start that conversation,
Yep.
because we have to ask them in order to
Anything you
start.
can do with it, right?
Yeah,
Right.
so
So are we still on track for this building to get the pipes drained? Minimal heating, no heating?
No heat, the heat is, we are no longer on automatic delivery, so when the fuel is gone, it's gone. The power's being shut off on the 3rd of October. I guess I need to look into how we go about draining the pipes.
Yep.
I'm not sure about that, but
yeah.
that needs to be done. That's the only thing I haven't gotten to, but other than that, the insurance company wanted everything.
You don't wanna, they want the insurance, the lights off too?
Yep. They want the electricity, everything, so the electricity's being shut off, yeah.
that's interesting.
Are they gonna want fuel in the basement? Meaning you're not gonna run the tank out between now and then.
We haven't had a delivery in months. I can check. to see
Yeah, just check,
yeah,
if it's full, we could probably get someone to come take it out,
Yeah,
but.
So now that you're back on that conversation, I mean, the day the guy was here doing the assessment, he had the drone, he kinda was referencing that in some of these instances, they actually can make you put out a fence to keep people so far away from the building and things like that. Have they mentioned any of that?
no.
I'm not saying, suggesting to
no,
bring it up,
no,
I'm just wondering if,
I've been talking
are we
with
gonna have to-
Nicole, and all we really need to do is keep it locked and put up some no trespassing.
Yeah.
okay?
No, and they'd already, cause we went
Yeah.
back, we can still use the safe and
I can come in
storage,
with it.
and the town manager can come in here and access whatever.
No,
she
but when
needs.
they said the power needs to be off and this needs to be, that's kinda going.
Yeah, that was,
a different
I was,
level.
I
I was
was a
surprised
little-
the power had to go
Well,
off.
and Lorna and I had talked about that as just as far as a safe. Lorna said, because I said, well, where's the light? Because she was showing me just exactly what's in there and the space and everything else. And then she said, but remember, I'm not gonna have any electricity.
Yeah, no, after, you
And
know,
yeah,
in-
so,
You
you
know,
know,
in the middle
flashlight
of
meeting,
winter, it's
in
gonna-
December, you're gonna get up here around 2 o'clock.
Yeah, and so we've been letting the, people know too that, you know, we do a lot of research for people for birth records and things like that, that they're gonna have to make a request and that,
Sure.
they're gonna be waiting.
Yeah,
It's
it's not gonna be as easy as it used
Yeah,
to be.
no,
No,
we're gonna have
100%.
to, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a little surprised that they were so firm on the electricity, but
Mm.
it does make sense, then you can't cheat.
Right, right.
Well, but that's why I was, you know, is it because, or is it just because of that much of a liability on the building? They want you.
They want you out,
Yeah,
yeah.
so that's why I question the fuel.
But they can drain the tanks.
Yeah, I mean,
Right, right.
Yeah, we can.
Your furnaces doesn't work with electricity.
Right, oh, yeah.
I'm not worried about that, but are they, you know, if the building falls down, now you got a spill.
Oh, geez, yeah, so we need to drain the tank.
That's kind of,
Yeah.
that's why.
Yeah, it's not gonna be lit again, there's no point in having any fuel down there.
No.
No,
Yeah, I just think all three of us should start thinking about, or four of us start thinking about how we're gonna present this to the town and how rapidly we want them to consider the next steps, because these steps have to be taken, so. Anyway,
And it's still gonna take a while either way, you know, building or.
Well, I think you're gonna find out after next week when you guys get in the new building and see how clunky this is gonna be, trying to work down there and pull information from here. That's probably gonna expedite everything we do.
well, and I would, long-term, that's not the solution, I don't believe. I mean, it's gonna get us over the hump, but we have the wherewithal to have a nice, brand-new facility. I haven't heard anything from Robinsons, but Guilford is coming together quickly,
yeah, it
this thing
is.
is gonna be shut
Yeah,
down
yeah.
with very little notice, I think. I mean, last time I talked to him, he was gonna pull the kitchen out of there, so once that happens,
Yeah, my understanding what happened basically up there was they had to tear the store down, the old store sooner than they thought because of the way the water lines and stuff, they couldn't finish the new store. So that kinda expedited everything, so it went from, yep, we're open to, it's all gone in a couple of days, so.
Wow.
Yeah, well,
Oh, there's a big hole in the ground yesterday when I drove by, is that still, are they
So
putting
they-
tanks in there? Is
yeah,
that
they
what's
were,
going on?
I don't know, there was big
Okay.
spools of, looked like giant PEX tubing when I come by
Oh, wow,
today, so.
wow, wow.
and I can tell you that
They're making the pumps go a different direction,
Oh, is that right?
I think, yeah.
Looks good.
the whole conversation that we've had with Jimmy Robinson regarding that building has kind of worked its way through the town. People have, I heard this rumor, I heard that rumor, and I said, I've talked to some people who tend to talk to lots of people, so we may decide to float that option. I mean, if Robinson's comes back to us with a number and says, yeah, this is what you can buy the building for, okay, we could present that number.
To the town.
Or we can also build a brand new one, and here's what that number would be.
Right.
You know, what do you guys wanna do?
Right.
I think it's about the same number.
They're probably gonna be pretty darn close.
That's what I mean, I think you can either buy this, and this is what you have, you take it off tax revenue, or for the same money, we can have a brand new one.
Well, it's based on what he was hinting at, I think you're gonna probably be higher with Robinson's because you gotta get it done. You're gonna get his building for probably an amount that you could build a brand new building completely done.
That's what I mean,
Yeah.
it's the same.
But you're still
dollar.
gonna have to do a lot to his building.
Yep,
So, but it's a beautiful spot,
yep, it is.
and it happens to be right next to the property we own. so.
Right,
And
right.
it-
But anyway, the tap,
It
you
is an
know,
awful nice tax rate base though, that's the other.
it
But you don't know what
is
you're
right now, but
But
it's,
you don't know what you're going in, what's gonna
That's
be
right.
there.
yeah, once he empties it and it's not commercial, I don't know what's gonna, cause he didn't sound to me like he was gonna be open to sell it to anyone who's in that kind of business.
Alright, so.
So I don't know what's
We already
gonna
know
end up
that the kitchen's leaving, the pumps are leaving,
Yeah.
we just lost a lot of tax base right there.
Yeah, I think so. I think so. And you know, at the end of the day, whether you spend 300 or 400, 50 years from now, that doesn't, it's not really gonna matter. It's whether it's a good fit and, you know.
Yep.
All right, I just think we all ought to be thinking about
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Okay. Anything else?
Oh, the only thing I thought of today, it's totally up to you, but if you round your numbers up, you can get rid of those, you can narrow your columns, so.
Yeah, I
Cause you're
thought
running
that.
out of room.
Yeah, I, trust me, I know. I thought of that as well.
Yeah.
But I do think those numbers are very interesting,
Mm-hmm.
so.
Do you think that the ratios that you're seeing at the bottom would pretty much be the same for every town? I mean, you're gonna have more mutual assist than you are your own, because
Right.
every time any one
Yeah.
of the five gets,
I don't believe
You
that.
should, what? You don't
So-
believe that?
so what do you think, do you think this is,
I think we have a higher mutual aid.
Why do you think that?
how's that possible?
Right.
Well, if Dover is dinging more often than we are, we're gonna get mutual aided to Dover more than they are to us. That would be pretty straightforward, yep,
Correct.
yep.
Yeah, you take like Guilford that's doing calls for multiple towns. So I bet their call volume, they have a higher in-town, or, you know what I mean, like for them to go to Abbott, that's not mutual aid, that's theirs.
Okay.
But we don't have to respond because
Unless
they're
they-
out of town?
We only go if they asked us to go.
Okay.
So that's what I'm saying, is like, Guilford has Parkman, Abbott.
So that's
Guilford,
not considered,
they have
that's
a
their-
bigger in-town, for a lot of things, they wouldn't call anybody to help for, they would just take care of it themselves. So where we're so small, we don't have a lot of in-town, we don't have a lot of calls in our town. It's a
Right.
single town, so we
Yeah,
help
we have no
everybody else.
businesses, just, we have one or two businesses, it's like, yeah.
I mean, when you look at the numbers, I mean,
No, I bet you're right. I mean, the majority of, the trend is, the majority of our services are provided outside of the
Right,
town.
right.
well, the majority of in-town service is actually storm damage.
Oh,
Yeah, I think so.
so that's not considered, that's, that's their,
Storm damage.
okay. Yep, well, training.
But I mean, as far as out, you know what I mean, an actual benefit.
Right. Right.
Storm damage is number one and lift assist is number two. So,
And then training.
training is huge.
Training is bigger than any two combined.
Well, if you add training and, if you add, go to the very bottom, and you add Sunday duty,
Oh, wow.
training, and monthly meetings. I mean, that's what, 40%
Yeah, that's.
of your budget, of your payroll? With mutual aid being almost 29%? I mean,
Well, this will be interesting. I'm glad that you suggested doing this, cause it does kind of paint a picture. Anything else, select board concerns? Nothing? Make a motion that we adjourn.
Second?
It is 5:05.
Do you wanna go to the?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'll go.
We'll do that off the clock.